morning and welcome to Living Local 15. I'm your host, Jessica Williams. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's Monday, so you already know it's time. We kick it off with some motivation. Here's the quote. I'm taking all of the negatives in my life and turning them into a positive. Every setback, disappointment, or painful moment carries the potential to shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. You're not pretending things didn't happen. You're choosing not to let them define you in a negative way. Keep that energy and remember that you are rewriting your story and every chapter to come is yours to define. Now on to the show. First, we are exploring the beautiful farm out in Warren, Indiana. Then we are chatting with Visit Fort Wayne about July events to check out. And then is Money Monday with Foster Financial. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Fashion, food, and fun. You're watching Living Local 15 with your host, Jessica Williams.
We are continuing our Growing for the Future series, learning all about farming and the different steps. I am here on a fourth generation farm in Warren, Indiana, and I'm so excited to speak with Farmer Brian to see what he has going on in June. Let's do it. I am joined again by Brian Warpup, a director at the Indiana Soybean Alliance. Hi, Brian.
Hi, good afternoon.
It's good to see you again.
Same here.
Yes, so we are continuing this journey and just really learning all about farming and the steps that you take. And so the last we spoke, I know that we were planting items, and I'm so amazed that now in June, they are sprouting up.
Yeah, the last time we were out here, which was about 3 weeks ago, we were just planting corn. It's out of the ground. It's 6 or 8 inches tall now. And same as our soybeans, and we're just finishing up or have finished up our crop, and now we're moving on to our next step.
Yeah, the next phase of it. So it goes pretty fast. So tell me, what stage are you in right now?
So right now, everything, like I said, is planted. We're kind of scouting everything to see if there are any problems, if there are any issues that happen during planting. Maybe start looking at weeds or other pests that may be coming in. Also, we're going to start part of the fertility program, which gives the plants the proper nutrients so that it can grow. And that's what we're going to start doing here in June with that.
Okay, and I know before, when you were out kind of looking through the seeds to make sure they were in the right position, what do you think now that you have seen them start to grow?
Oh, it's one of my favorite times of the year to start seeing them grow. Yeah, we call it the picket fence stand. It's every seed is there and everything is growing well.
And so let's talk about the machine that's behind us. So this is a sprayer?
This is our sprayer.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is what we use to put on the products to kind of protect the crop. And when I say protect the crop, that is from pests or weeds or things that may be detrimental to our crop that's growing out in the field. So that's what this is right here.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's take a look at it.
Sure.
All right, Brian, so is sprayer the official word for this truck?
It's a sprayer.
Okay.
It is called a sprayer.
And so I see it's kind of lined up in the path of the rows of what you planted. So kind of share with me how it works.
Sure. Well, it mimics our tractor. So the cab and all the controls are inside the cab up there. We have a large tank, and that's where the water and chemicals are stored. That's 1,000 gallons is what is in that.
Oh, wow.
And so when we start to spray, it is dispersed through this boom, through these nozzles, and that's what sprays down into the canopy of the crop.
And so the sprayer, is it a dual function? Does it both hydrate the plants and also create some type of pesticide and ant repellent or bug repellent?
No, the water is only used as a carrier for that chemical, because we can't spray just straight chemical. So we use sometimes only ounces of chemicals, and so we spray between 10 and 20 gallons an acre, so that's really not enough to hydrate any part of the crop.
Right, so you really rely on the rain?
We rely on the rain very much so,
yeah. Okay, and then how often do you have to use the sprayer?
So we've used it a little bit already here in May. Anytime we start seeing pests or we see a problem that needs our attention. So that could be anything from weed control, an insect may come in sometime, fungicide. We spray fungicide, just anything that will inhibit the plant from being 100%.
Yeah, well, let's walk over. You know, I want to see the plant up close and personal now that I feel like I know the seeds a bit. I touched the seeds. And so, how tall do you expect this plant to get?
Well, right now it's about 4 inches. It's grown 4 inches in the last 3 weeks, but it obviously had to come out of the ground. Here in June, it will grow a couple of inches a day if all of the conditions are right.
Yeah.
So when it's 85, 90 degrees and it has plenty of water, it doesn't take long. So by the 4th of July, most of this will be well over your head.
No way.
Yeah, so, and after it's all done, it'll be about 8 to 10 feet tall.
Really?
Yes.
That's incredible. Okay, well, I look forward to seeing that. And so let's talk about all this equipment that you have here on the farm. I know that there are different purposes for each. You have your sprayer, the tractor, and then you mentioned the big white tank back there. So what is that?
The white tank is has anhydrous ammonia in it. That is 82% nitrogen.
Okay.
So with our corn, that's its main food source is nitrogen. Obviously water and sunshine, but as far as to make that plant grow to its fullest potential, we have to give it nitrogen, and Mother Nature does not do that. So we have to apply that. And we will apply that in between the rows here in the first couple of weeks of June. And it takes us about that long to do that. And so that's kind of how we feed that crop.
Well, let's hop up on the sprayer and, you know, give it a little drive. It's so peaceful up here, Brian. And it seems we escaped the wind.
Yes, we did.
Yes. So tell me about the process with spraying, deciding on the best days, because it's windy today, so probably not today.
Correct, yeah, it's a beautiful day, the sun's shining, but we are too windy. It's probably 15 miles an hour, and if we spray today, which we'd like to be spraying today, what we spray would be what we would consider off target and wouldn't go where it needs to go. So we as farmers need to be careful when and what we spray, but make sure it stays where it needs to stay and not somewhere else.
Yes, and on top of the spraying and of course making sure that it's watered, what else do you do throughout the process to really nourish the plant?
Here all summer long, we'll use a sprayer to spray other types of nutrients, zinc, sulfur, kind of like vitamins like you would take. The plant needs that as well. But also last fall we put down fertilizer too in preparations for the spring for the next crop. So it already has it there, just not enough of it.
Not enough of it, okay. Awesome, well let's hop in this thing. Alright. Is driving one of these really hard to do?
No, it's big. I'm 120 feet wide, so when I'm going through the field, I'm pretty wide open. But if you're going against a fence row or a neighborhood or a house, you kind of have to have a good judgment of distance so you don't hit anything. And so that's probably the biggest challenge of coming or to drive this.
Oh wow! And now you're folding, so you're folding up the sprayer.
They're all folded.
Okay, and this is what makes you mobile.
Yes, so I'm about 11 feet wide now. I was 120, now I'm 11. So.
was fun. You make it look easy, Brian. Well, thank you so much for sharing more about this next step in your farming journey.
Thank you.
Yes, and if you would like to continue to follow our journey, stay tuned for the next edition here with Brian Warpup. We'll be right back.
Living Local 15, proudly driven by the Kelly Automotive Group.
Summer is here, and honestly, I cannot believe it is already July. There is so much happening in the fort, so I'm so thrilled to be joined by Erin Okeson, who is the Digital Content Manager for Visit Fort Wayne. Hello, Erin.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yes, okay, so we've already kicked off festivals, right? We talked about that in June.
Oh, yes.
And so what else does the summer bring here in the fort?
Yeah, well, the fun is just continuing. So, you know, we're going to get through 4th of July, all of our great fireworks. You can enjoy jazz works at the Botanical Conservatory on the 4th.
Okay.
But then there's so much to do after that. So we're really excited to highlight Big Fort Fest, which is a new festival here in Fort Wayne. It's happening July 10th through the 12th.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's the first time happening at Headwaters Park. And this is kind of your classic summer festival, inviting the whole Fort Wayne community to come downtown and just celebrate. So the 3 days, yeah, it's going to feature lots of great food trucks, a vendor market, and of course, lots of great music. So each day is going to feature a great lineup of local and national bands and artists. So that's really exciting. They're also going to have Big Fork Fest, which is the food portion of the festival. So yeah, I'm excited about that part. It's going to feature lots of great food trucks, so really highlighting our diverse culinary scene. And then we also want to highlight Saturday is really going to have tons of fun, free games and activities for kids, even some special kids performances on Saturday. Yeah, so lots to do. The whole thing is family friendly. So bring everybody down and just enjoy that new festival.
Okay, so what is it called again?
Big Fort Fest.
Big Fort Fest. Okay, and who's presenting it?
It's a group of, you know, locals here in Fort Wayne who saw that opening for this new festival and just thought, let's bring everybody together to celebrate.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we definitely got to look into that. Okay, so that's happening. And then what else is happening in July?
Okay, June is Pride Month, but in Fort Wayne, we celebrate Pride in July with our Pride Fest in downtown Fort Wayne. So July 25th through the 26th, you can come downtown, celebrate our LGBTQ community. Lots of fun games, performances, entertainment. So that one's always a really fun one for the community as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just like continuing the festival fun trend. And then on top of actual festivals, people can experience so much more, right?
Yes, there is so much happening all the time. So one of my favorite things to do that, yes, you can do anytime is explore our riverfront. So our rivers are just some of our greatest assets here. And so there are many ways you can enjoy that. You can kayak the rivers by renting a kayak in downtown Fort Wayne, or Fort Wayne Outfitters. They actually have a second location in Leo, which features a really great restaurant called Steady Eddie's. So you can head up to Leo, grab a bite to eat there, and then rent a kayak and paddle the St. Joseph River. Or, okay, this is one of my favorite recommendations, is a ride aboard Sweet Breeze, which is our replica canal boat. You can choose a 45-minute, 60-minute, or 90-minute boat ride. Learn about our history along the riverfront.
Oh, they describe it? Okay, it's a tour.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get some good history. And then they also do some themed tours. So some with wine tastings, some are Princess Night themed. So lots of different themes in there as well. So I just love it.
That's cool. Okay, so you have to tell me, Erin, do you kayak?
I do kayak, though I still think my favorite thing is those Sweet Breeze rides. I just love a good boat tour.
You said, I don't want to do the work. That's what
I will do the work. Love a Sweet Breeze ride.
So I haven't done Sweet Breeze yet, but I have kayaked.
Yeah.
And I first learned how to kayak for the first time in Fort Wayne.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was one of the first features that we did on the show. And I was nervous.
Yeah.
And then, but the outfitters, they literally like taught, you know, the flow. And what I realized, a big secret about kayaking, it's such a great ab workout.
Yeah.
And so it's fun and you're out there and it doesn't feel like it's actually a workout because you're kind of paddling for your life. And because you're in the middle of the water, you don't want to like tip over. But I love it. It's so peaceful. And the water trails are just gorgeous.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So much to take in out there. Just beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a sweet breeze. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna take that advice.
Okay.
And then there's another like party boat that I've seen on the water. What is that called?
Yeah. Okay. So that's called Rum Runners.
Okay.
And so those are kind of party boats. You can, I think, bring your own beverages on there, and those dock right outside of the deck downtown. So yeah, you'll see those. Those are great for kind of birthday parties, bachorette parties, things like that. But yeah, those are really fun. Another great way to explore the riverfront.
Yes. And then if people just want a little fun partying in motion, really, I'll call it downtown, I always hear those woo, woo from the paddle, what is it called?
The Pedal City.
Pedal City. So that's like when you're on this little moving bar and you're having to work for your life also and paddle while you're drinking. But I just love the fact that they're just like always cheering and like, hey, to the people on the street.
Yes.
That looks fun.
They like bring the party with them. It's so much fun.
Right? Okay. So much to do still. And I know that we're just going to have more festivals throughout the year. So I look forward to talking to you the next time.
I can't wait.
Thank you, Erin. And if you would like more information about everything that's taking place in Fort Wayne, you can go to Visit Fort Wayne's website. They have a beautiful site that outlines anything. If you're looking for restaurants or comedy shows or live music performances, they have it there. So check them out. And I look forward to seeing you after the break. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. Welcome to Money Monday with Foster Financial, and today we are talking all things retirement, and joining me is their Vice President, Caleb Doan. Hello, Caleb.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Doing well. Okay, so we've been talking about misconceptions in finance, and last Money Monday, my mind was blown because you informed us of the whole tax bracket misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And so today we're going to talk about retirement, but this time how much someone should save.
Yeah.
So kind of break down why this is a misconception.
Yeah, I think the misconception kind of surrounds, maybe people assuming that there's a certain number that everyone needs to hit in order to be able to retire.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of folks that come in maybe in their first meeting and they say, hey, I've always heard that you need, $1 million to retire or 750 grand or whatever that kind of rule of thumb might be that they heard. In reality, that number is completely different for everyone. And it depends on so many different factors that there is not a good rule of thumb to actually say how much somebody should have. It's completely customized.
Okay, so when people are thinking about that and kind of building out their financial plan, what are some of the key differences in financial plans as they are trying to assess that number?
Yeah, so I mean that number is going to be impacted by so many different things, which are things that we look into when we do a financial plan for somebody. But the amount of money that somebody needs at retirement is going to be impacted by, one, the amount of expenses that they have every single year in retirement, whether they still have their mortgage or whether that mortgage is going to drop off soon, how old they are when they retire, whether they have a pension or not, how much they're getting from Social Security, how long they're going to live in retirement, which of course nobody knows, but we can still make an estimate on that. Maybe even whether they're going to move in retirement or have a big one-time expense. Maybe they're buying a summer home or something like that. Or even if they want to leave an inheritance to kids. So you can see that there are so many different factors that are going to determine how much somebody needs. And a lot of times when people are saving for retirement, whether they know it or not, they kind of have some number that they're thinking of that maybe they heard at one point, 750 grand, I need 500,000, whatever it is. And a lot of times that's influencing how much they save. The misconception part is oftentimes that number is very different. The actual number that they need to save is different than maybe what they're thinking.
Okay, for that individual. So it's like someone does need to have a number in hand, a goal to shoot and to aim for. That's for that individual, but that doesn't apply to everyone.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, and so as people are just trying to figure out that number, what can they be doing, I guess, as they are living life? Like, is this something that you got to think about younger and say, okay, let me figure out my number now, or is it something that you really won't know until you're closer to retirement age?
Yeah, I think no matter how old you are, we can do a financial plan for you and help identify what that number is going to be.
Okay.
But it's also very possible that that number changes over time. So maybe your standard of living changes a little bit. Maybe the older that you get, your income goes up a little bit, and so maybe that standard of living increases too. But we factor a lot of that in when we do financial plans, especially for folks who might be, 40 years old, maybe they're 20, 25 years away from retirement. We factor in some of those changes to try to make sure the plan is most up to date. But then also we're checking in with these clients, usually several times a year. And so we're making these adjustments very frequently and seeing, all right, do we need to, increase retirement savings a little bit more, decrease it a little bit? Can we have you retire a couple years earlier than what we originally anticipated? So as you get closer to retirement, that number gets a little bit more solid, but still it's a really good idea to have a good idea of what that number is, as early as possible.
Yeah. And do you have people coming in with a preconceived number, and then as you do the financial plan, they're shocked, like maybe they need a lot more or maybe less?
Yeah, I would say normally people assume that they need more than what they have actually. So there's a lot of people that might come in and they have, $300,000 saved for retirement, and they're like, man, I've always heard, you need $750,000. I feel like I'm not really doing a good job. But then we look into it and, maybe they have a pension, maybe they have Social Security, maybe their cost of living is just relatively low, whatever it might be. A lot of times they might be in a better situation than what they anticipated. So that can always be really good news for folks. Yeah.
So don't be scared to go in and to get this report and to really work with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you would like more information about Foster Financial, we'll have their website and phone number listed below. You can contact them for a complimentary consultation, and I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the show. And remember, you can always catch up on episodes and segments of Living Local 15 by going to WANE.com, downloading the WANE app, and also checking us out on YouTube. And I'll leave you with this. I'm taking all the negatives in my life and turning them into a positive. That is a quote to remember for the rest of today. And I hope you enjoy your week. And I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Content segments during today's Living Local 15 were paid for by these sponsors.